Hello and welcome back to my Japanese horror collection. Today's story is one of those stories where history bleeds into a legend and legend into a nightmare. This story is so dreadful, so steeped in shadows, that it stands rightfully among the most famous Japanese ghost tales ever whispered in the dead of the night. This isn't just another ghost story. This is a tale woven into the ancient stones of the famous Himeji Castle. It's a sinister dance with the supernatural, a haunting echo from the past that brings nightmares into the present, blurring the lines of reality and supernatural in a terrifying finale. But let's start at the beginning. Let me tell you a bit about Himeji Castle. Known as White Heron Castle for its brilliant white facade that mimics the elegance of a bird in flight, Himeji stands as a pinnacle of Japanese feudal architecture. Built in the early 17th century, it has endured the passage of time, surviving wars and natural disasters, a testament to its masterful construction. But as darkness envelops its maze-like series of 83 buildings, corridors and intricate defensive gates, the castle seems to whisper tales from its storied past, turning Himeji into not just a historical landmark, but a repository of spectral lore and intrigue. Among this, the legend of Okiku's well stands out, a haunting narrative that continues to echo through the chambers and halls of its majestic structure. The tale of Okiku is particularly violent, as it is a story of betrayal and tragedy, the suffering of the innocent soul, which was so dreadful that her spirit is said to still haunt the corridors of the castle, unable to find peace. Okiku served in the castle, a young maiden whose beauty and grace stood out like a rare lily amongst common blossoms. Her life, simple and serene, contrasted sharply with the ancient walls of Himeji Castle, where her delicate appearance was a striking anomaly amidst the robust wood and stone. Her charm soon ensnared the attention of the samurai Aoyama, who pursued her with promises of wealth and prestige. Yet, Okiku's heart remained untouched by his advances, her rejections delivered with a polite but unwavering firmness. Aoyama, unaccustomed to denial, found his fascination with Okiku turning into an obsession. His desire grew into consuming fire, leading him to come up with the sinister plan. One night, under the moon's eerie light, Aoyama set his trap, hiding one of the castle's 10 precious heirloom plates, artifacts of immense value and significance. The loss or damage of such a plate was a crime punishable by death. When Okiku realized the plate was missing, her world was engulfed in fear. She counted the remaining plates repeatedly, but the tally always fell short. Confronting her with the missing plate, Aoyama presented a sinister ultimatum: become his lover and a dish would resurface, sparing her life. Yet, Okiku, as steadfast as the castle's enduring stones, refused him once more. In a fit of rage, Aoyama ordered Okiku to be brutally beaten. Then he suspended her over the castle's deep well. The torture went on for several days. Despite this unspeakable torment, Okiku's spirit remained unbroken. Aoyama, in a final act of cruelty, released his grip, sending her plummeting into the well's abyss, where she found her cold, unforgiving grave. However, the torment she endured was so traumatic that her spirit could not rest. Every night after that, a spectral figure emerged from the well's depths. The ghost of Okiku roamed the castle grounds, her cries carried by the wind. Her ghostly voice would count to 9, each number echoing from the castle's walls. This spectral count would always culminate in a terrifying shriek of despair that would stop the blood in the veins of those who happened to hear. Her haunting wreaked havoc in the castle, striking terror into Aoyama and other inhabitants, with some of them falling ill or meeting tragic ends after hearing her final despairing cry, including cruel Aoyama himself. The legend continues to say that, desperate, the castle lord summoned a wise priest. As Okiku's ghost began her nightly count, the priest, filled with compassion and strength, joined her, completing the count with resounding 10. Finally, it was said that at this, Okiku's ghost found peace and her soul finally freed. Now, this dreadful story was so violent that it did not end here. The legend persisted, echoing through the centuries, and has now reached our era. Hundreds of tourists flock to Himeji's castle, drawn by the allure of possibly hearing Okiku's mournful cries, unaware that some legends best left untouched. Among these visitors, one couple encountered a particularly harrowing finale. This is where the ancient horror continues and our modern-day story begins. But before I go on to tell it, I'd like to remind you, if this story captures your interest, please don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel if not already. Your support means a lot to me. Back to the story now. Returning to our tale, where we left a couple at the precipice of their harrowing destiny. On that fateful night, a duo of intrepid friends found themselves at the gates of Himeji Castle, drawn like many before by the eerie legend of Okiku. These friends were Ethan, a young, somewhat awkward historian with a deep fascination for Japanese folklore, and Mia, a local guide, whose deep skepticism for ghost stories led her to daringly sneak them into the castle after dark. They had heard tales of Okiku and the castle's eerie legend, and as they stepped into the castle's night premises, they couldn't help but shiver in the chilly night air. With only a video camera and flashlights in hand, the two friends began their cautious journey towards the ancient well. The weather was against them. It was raining and the wind was picking up, promising a full-on storm. The rain fell in a steady drizzle, painting the ancient stone walls with a glistening sheen, and the light of a flashlight cast long, haunting shadows. The night castle was heavy with an eerie stillness. The distant rumble of thunder added to the suspense that hung in the air like a veil. Mia, the boldest of the couple, took the lead. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness like a sword, revealing intricate details of the castle's architecture. She moved with a confident stride, seemingly unafraid of the legends that surrounded them. Ethan walked behind her, his eyes darting nervously in every direction. The flickering flashlight within the castle's interior created unsettling shadows that seemed to dance with malevolence. His heart raced with each echoing footstep, and he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. Mia, now several steps ahead, called back to Ethan with an air of bravado. "Come on, Ethan, don't be such a scaredy cat. It's just an old legend, remember?" Ethan swallowed hard and took a hesitant step forward, his flashlight trembling in his hand. He muttered under his breath, "Yeah, just an old legend." But the unease in his voice betrayed his true feelings. As Mia and Ethan ventured deeper into the castle's dim corridors, the cold, damp stone walls seemed to close in on them, similar to a Venus flytrap stealthily ensnaring an unsuspecting insect within its grasp. Both Ethan and Mia shivered involuntarily and sped up the pace to reach the end of the corridor that led to the courtyard, where the famous well was situated. The courtyard of the castle, shrouded in the oppressive gloom of a stormy night, exuded an eerie sense of foreboding. Enclosed by the towering walls of the ancient fortress, it seemed cut off from the world, a realm abandoned by time. At its heart lay the well, a dark void in the earth, its edges slick with rain. The stones around it, worn smooth over centuries, glistened in the rain, reflecting the sporadic flashes of the lightning and Ethan's flashlight. Moss, darkened by the downpour, clung to the stones, edging closer to the well's gaping mouth, which appeared even more sinister under the tumultuous sky. The air was heavy, charged with the electric tension of the storm, laden with secrets and sorrows long whispered into the well's depths. Occasionally, thunder rumbled, a deep resonant sound that echoed off the high walls, while lightning illuminated the courtyard in stark, fleeting glimpses. In a stormy setting, the well stood as an ominous focal point of the courtyard, a beacon of darkness that seemed to absorb the storm's rage, amplifying the courtyard's haunting and isolated atmosphere. The rain, falling in relentless sheets, seemed to be trying to cleanse the well of its ancient tales and tragedies, yet only adding to the sense of something inescapable and profoundly unsettling. This is when they heard the whisper. Someone was counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. The cold shivers went down their spines when they realized this is not just a ghost tale after all. With each count, the voice grew louder and a sense of dread consumed our friends. The ghost-chilling count echoed through the darkness, growing louder and louder. 5, 6. Ethan and Mia frozen in terror, standing right in front of the old well, the rain and thunder intensifying with every second, making the dark water in the well swell up and reach the top. The counting continues, each number echoing louder and more desperate. 7, 8. Suddenly, a figure appears from the well. It's her, the ghost of Okiku. Her long black hair cascaded over her face, obscuring her features as she crawled out on her arms in a hauntingly disjointed manner. Her voice escalated to an unbearable, blood-curdling shriek that was preceding the imminent strike. Ethan and Mia rooted to the spot in horror when Ethan remembered the legend. The spell can be broken by completing the count. Ethan mustered all his courage and shouted, 10! The atmosphere in Himeji Castle seemed to waver, caught between the spectral realm and the living world. Then, in an instant, the ghost vanished, her presence dissipating into the night. The air around them returned to normal, but the residue of her haunting presence lingered. Ethan and Mia, still trembling from the encounter, exchanged a look of disbelief. They had done it. They had broken the curse. Relief washed over them, their breaths visible in the cold night air. As they stepped away from the ancient well, they couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment, tinged with the lingering fear of what they had just witnessed. The following day, when Ethan had finally managed to recover from the horrors of the previous night, he decided to review the footage he had captured on his camera. He plugged the camera into his computer and with a sense of unease, he pressed play. What unfolded on the screen left him in shock and disbelief. On the monitor he saw it all. The well, the counting, Okiku's terrifying form, and the moment when they had broken the curse. It was as if the camera had captured the very essence of the supernatural encounter. His hands trembled as he watched the footage, the memories of that haunting night rushing back to him. As he studied the video, a sudden, bone-chilling realization crept over him. The curse had not been broken. It had merely found a new way to exact its toll. The ghostly presence had been captured on film, preserving Okiku's vengeful spirit for eternity. Soon after, the news spread like a wildfire. Both Ethan and Mia were found dead in their respective homes, their lifeless bodies discovered in unrelated incidents that seemed to have occurred at approximately the same time. The circumstances of their deaths were shrouded in mystery, and the authorities were baffled. The eerie connection between the events of that fateful night and the deaths of the two friends did not go unnoticed by their friends who had heard their story. Whispers of a curse, a malevolent spirit seeking revenge, started circulating through the town, leaving many in fear. But the most unsettling part of the story was yet to come. As Ethan's camera had captured the terrifying encounter, it seemed that the footage had disappeared without a trace, as if it had never existed. The video was never seen again. Or was it? Have a nice nightmare, my friend, and let me know what you saw.